Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to my sanctum where I hide out from the world and get to tell you episode 4 of my story about how I became the All-American boy, me in Vietnam. And I don't remember exactly what I told you in the last episode, but I'm sure it included stuff that I learned as a foolish new guy. FNG. Yes, indeed. So I also discovered that flying on helicopters is better than any e-ticket ride that they've got in Disneyland or anywhere else. You know, when you get that helicopter, uh, and they do what they call low level, and maybe 10, 15 feet off the ground, where the blades still get the ground effects, and the helicopter goes really fast, and it's a thrill. It is really a thrill, like going, if you can imagine going 150 miles an hour in your car and looking out the window going, holy shit. Well, anyhow, I digress. So I think that in the last episode, I mentioned how I went to play coup in my first assignment out in the field, supporting the 5th Special Forces, and how dusty it was, and red dirt stained everything, including yours truly. Well, anyhow, when we came back from that trip into the field, as they called it, it was quite nice to get back to Special Forces headquarters, where we not only had a wonderful, wonderful mess hall that served grilled steaks every Sunday. Now, this is the Special Forces, you understand. This is not just some routine operation like the 4th Infantry. Well, anyhow, I digress. There at Special Forces headquarters, they even had their own steam bath and massage parlor, where when you come back in from weeks in the field, you can go and get exquisitely clean and get a massage, and if you're lucky, have a happy ending. It was quite a place, very uptown. And I'll mention also that the back door of the Enlisted Man's Club there in Nha Trang, the Special Forces Enlisted Man's Club, had a takeout window where I used to go for lunch, and they had the most delicious grilled ham and cheese sandwiches. And so I would go get a grilled ham and cheese sandwich instead of having to stand in the line in the chow hall. And man, I still like grilled ham and cheese sandwiches. You can ask Jane, she'll tell you I still eat them up yum with tomato soup. Well, okay, now I really am digressing, because I wanted to tell you about the personnel there at the 281st. It was a very diverse, divergent kind of population. I told you in the last episode about the guy that I met from the electronics division. They fixed the avionics in the airplane so that the electrical system worked correctly. Anyhow, I think this guy's name was John Chapman, and he used to. Well, he first caught my attention when he was talking. He was commenting on the first sergeant, and he said something like, "It's a tale told by an idiot, filled with sound and fury, signifying nothing." Well, I thought it was him, but it was Shakespeare, of course. And he had he had boatloads of stanzas from Shakespeare that he could pull out at a moment's notice. I thought he was really an intelligent man, and he had things pretty clearly figured out about who was who and what was what and how to survive in Vietnam. And the other thing about him is that he was one of the rare individuals that was neither a juicer or a head. He was abstinent from substances, and I admired that. I thought it was great that he could preserve not only his integrity but preserve his physical safety by remaining substance free. Well, was talking about all the different kinds of people and different kinds of backgrounds that we had in the 281st. Now, I have to tell you that the folks in the aviation companies, I believe, they far exceeded the average intelligence in the military because they were taking care of airplanes, and you can't be dumb and be responsible for tightening up safety wire on a screw that you just put on. You just got to be intelligent, and most of the people there in the 281st, I thought they were pretty intelligent. Especially the ones that I like to smoke pot with up on top of the woodpile. Oh my God, imagine that. Oh, okay, so here's a good place where I can insert, uh, excuse me. I met another one of the guys uh, through Chapman. He was a fellow who worked down there in avionics. And his name, I remember his name. Can't remember his first name. His last name was Duncan. And he was from the south side of Chicago. The baddest part of town. And if you go down there, you just better beware about the bad Sergeant Duncan. So anyhow, he turned out to be a head. And so we invited him down to the woodpile to smoke some pot with us. Oh, and he castigated us poor little white boys because we could not smoke. We had no capacity like the boys from the south side of Chicago, which he proceeded to demonstrate to us with these monster lungs. Oh, monster lungs take monster tokes. And it was like something out of the movies where he could just inhale and inhale and inhale and inhale. And when he finally exhaled, there were these enormous volumes of smoke that were caught by the light there on top of the woodpile. It was a sight to behold. It was an adventure. Well, we were up there getting high, and it just blew my mind. We were talking about our goals, what we were going to do when we get back to the world. See, that's what we called home back in the United States. We call that the world. And insert song, when I get back to the world. Uh, yeah, that's going to be a musical. Anyhow, remember I told you about how I would make up songs on a moment's notice. Anybody say, hey, make up a song about a Jeep. Or make up a song about getting back to the world. And so I would do that. That was cool. Well, anyhow, I can't go on real long, but I wanted to tell you quickly about how we got an altimeter and we turned it into a water pipe. And the harder you toked, the higher the altitude would register. And we would have contests down there on the woodpile to see who could get the most high. Yeah, man. Duncan won again and again. Okay, more later.